Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is day 12 of software testing series. So in this series, we will learn about bug life cycle process. Okay, so please watch this video till the end and don't forget to subscribe this channel. So the first heading is defect, bugs and issue. Okay, so any mismatch if we have found, okay, if found in functionality of software system. So during the test execution by tester. So tester execute test cases on the application. So they found some mismatch issues like as per requirement and actual result, actual result or actual behavior of the application. It's called a bug. So is there any mismatch functionality which does not match with the requirement of client requirement and with the system behavior, with the actual behavior of this application. So that we call it as a defect bug and issues. Okay. So the tester mostly use some template to bug report to dev team. Okay. So there is some common, mostly very famous Jira tool. Jira is bug tracking tool. So for that Jira application, I will create a separate video, okay, in last of this series. So there you can explore from end to end. And there is some defect reporting tool like Bugzilla, okay, there Bugzilla. And third is Excel, Excel report. Most of the tester, most of complete using the Excel for to write the test case and everything they will update to test the execution and everything they have to share with the dev teams also, and they send the bug report to project manager and developer. Okay, and there is some quality center. Quality center is a tool. Fifth one is defect reporting tool. So there are several type of tools is available in this market, but the Jira is most famous tool, which currently most of the industry is using. Okay, and the Bugzilla is also. So after that, there is some defect report and content. Like if the tester will report that bug they have found in the application, so what report they will create and what content they will use. Okay, so the second heading is defect report and contents which they will use to create the bug report. So first is defect ID. Suppose you can mention in Excel sheet, or if you are using like Jira, so in Jira while you will create any defect, the defect ID automatic will be created by Jira tool. Okay, so there are some steps also, but the same steps common in each. Like if you are using Jira or if you are maintaining the Excel for the reports. So there is a defect ID. Second is defect description. Okay. Third is version of application or build. Fourth is steps. Fifth is data raised. And sixth is reference. Seventh is defected by 8 is status, defect status. 9 is fixed by. 10 is date closure. 11 is severity. 12 is priority. Okay. So these are most important part while we will raise a bug to the developer for a fixing. Okay. So the defect ID you can take any ID, any unique ID. It should not be any duplicate. Okay. So always like you can take DE or DID 001. So this is a unique defect ID. Okay. It should not be duplicated with other description like user is not able to log in with valid credential. Okay. So this is a description. So user is not able to log in with a credential with a valid credential. Version like which build we have received. So build one. Okay. Steps. What step you have took to reproduce this issue? Execute me if you are executing a test case. So what step you have to follow on that test case so that you will mention in steps. So the first is go to www.opencart.com. This is a domain. B is enter valid ID in login field. C is enter valid password in login field. D is clicked on login button. Okay. And description we already mentioned what was the exact way user is not able to log in with a valid credential. So first the tester go to opencard.com, enter valid ID in login field. Then third step enter valid password in login field. Fourth step click on login button. After that they assume that the user is not able to log in with valid credential. So this is a bug which is rare. Date raised is today's 21st May 2026. Okay, so that you can mention reference the RS document. Okay, like business requirement docs you have followed. Okay, defected by QA tester. Status, if you raise a bug, it will be always open status. Okay, so status open because you have created a bug and that bug you have assigned to any developer. So the status will be open. Fixed by developer name. Date closed. If you have raised on 20 May, developer fix on 22 May. Severity means this describe the impact of the defect on this application. Okay, so impact of the defect in the application or seriousness issue. Okay, So seriousness issue in this application. Then the priority. Priority always is set like which is related to defect fixing, okay, based on the impact like higher, medium, low, okay, or urgency at which defect should be fixed respectively. So the priority is it's related to defect, whether high, medium, or low. If it's high, they will fix immediately. If it will be medium, might be they will fix in second build, or if there is a low, so they will fix at release phase. Okay. So this is the impact, the priority and severity. So this is a very important part of the defect report and defect content, which always used by the tester to raise a defect with these details and send to the developer or project manager. Okay. So after that, there is the defect classification. So defect classification is have two types, or we can say that defect categorization. Okay, it's two type. So first type is severity. Second type is priority. Okay, so severity always have four types. It's a very important question. Okay, so defect severity is four type: blocker, or we can say that showstopper. The second one is major. Okay. Third is minor. And there is a critical also. Okay. So severity is always a four type: blocker, critical, major, and minor. And priority have three type, or you can say that four type, but mostly is a three type. So this is a P0, like this is an industry term, like the tester mostly use P0 is high, high priority. Okay. P1 is medium, P2 is low. Okay. So the severity always a four type. Priority is mostly is three type: highest, and medium, and low. Okay. So the what does mean by severity? Okay. So severity means it's always describe describe the seriousness. Okay. Seriousness of defect and how much impact on business workflow. Okay. And there is the category is blocker. So blocker means it's blocker. You can understand by the name of meaning of blocker, right? Blocker means tester is not able to execute test cases on that application. Okay, so it's a blocker. Nothing can be proceed in testing. So it's called a blocker. Example, application crash. Okay. Second is login not working. So this is a blocker. Means always we call it the source blocker. The tester is not able to execute any single test case because the application is not functional and nothing can be processed in this testing. So example application crash, login is not working. And second is critical. So the critical is the main basic functionality is not working. Okay. And customer business workflow is broken. So see, so like in critical severity, like the main basic functionality is not working. Customer basic business workflow is not working. It's broken. Okay. They cannot proceed further. Example, we can take it like fund transfer is not working. Means user is able to log in. User is logged in on that application. They move in the second step to transfer the fund. But fund transfer is not working. Okay, because the workflow is not working. Like suppose a phone pay application, phone pay UPI application. Okay, so they open application and it's working properly. User is able to log in on that application. They enter the amount also. Okay, they submit the UPI button and submit the pin also. After that, the functionality, man, basic functionality is not working. And the user is not able to transfer that amount. So it's critical. So fund transfer is not working. Okay, and in UPI payment. Second example, we can take it like we ordering from e-commerce website. Okay, product in e-commerce website. It's not working. Means user able to log in but ordering product is not working, so the customer business for workflow is broken, totally broken, so it's not working properly, so it's a critical severity. Okay, and there is third is major. So major severity is it cause some behavior. Okay, it cause some undesirable behavior, but the feature application still function. Okay, the feature application is still functional. So this is means some type, not every time. So it's cause some undesirable behavior, but the feature application is still working. So let's suppose we can take an example. After sending a mail, okay, a email, there is no confirmation. A user already sent a mail. Okay, mail is sent successfully to the another person, but there is no confirmation message like whether it's delivered mail to that particular person or not. Okay, so means the application is working, The feature application is still functional, means application features working, but we are not getting a proper validation. Okay, so it's caused some undesirable behavior. And third is after booking a cab is booked, but there is no confirmation to user. Okay, so this type of issues it comes under major severity. Fourth is minor. It won't impact, okay, any major break, any major breaks on the application. Okay, so means down the system sometime. Okay, like it won't impact any major break on the application system. Okay, and major breakdown the system. Got it? So major breakdown the system means there is no impact to the business workflow. Okay, so it's come under minor severity. And there is the example or minor severities like look and feel issues in spelling and alignment. Okay, so means the UI part. Maybe there is some UI part issues, spelling mistake, alignment mistake. Okay, so that mistake will not impact any major functionality. Our application, the business workflow will work. Okay, so there's the severity is always it's always describe the seriousness of defect and how much impact on a business workflow. There is a four type blocker, critical, major, minor. Okay, blocker means the application is crashed. Tester is not able to execute any test cases. Okay, it's not able to test any single execute test cases. Critical man functionality is not working. Customer able to log in, but customer man business workflow is broken. And major it causes some undesirable behavior. Okay, and minors won't impact any major breaks. So that's the part of severity. There is a most important topic is priority also. Priority level. So priority describe the importance of defect. So the priority importance of defect. So defect reporting state the order in which the defect should be fixed. So there is follow some order in priority. Okay. So priority we already discussed like P0. P0 is high priority. Okay. So in this high priority, the defect must be resolved immediately. Okay, because there is a seriousness of the application. Tester is not able to like execute any test cases, so severity is also high. Okay, like it's a blocker, but the priority is also high of that defect. So defect must be resolved immediately so that that user can execute the test cases and they can perform other type of testing. Okay, because the P0 high priority is always impact of the system, and P1 there is P1 is medium, so medium priority. It can wait, it can wait until a new version of application or build is created. So the P1 is a medium priority. Okay, we can wait up. So we will fix in upcoming build. Like if build one, you have find some issues, you have to raise the medium P1. So the developer maybe fixen in in upcoming build, okay, in upcoming build or in new version they will fix that issues. So that is medium priorities. And there is the P0 already discussed, P2. So P2 is a low priority. So developer can fix it later or release days. So dev can fix it in later or release phase. Why is it? P2 is a low defect, so it does not impact any functionality or anything. Or we can deliver that project sometime that clients want to like fix these bugs if already the product in production environment, okay, or during the release phase. So they will try to push that to fix the low priority bugs, okay, which bug does not impact to the business workflow. So that's the main priority in P0, P1, P2. Okay, there is some example of priority and severity that I will explain. Example of priority and severity. Okay, so suppose one example, low priority and low severity. So means the low priority and low severity. We already discussed a spelling mistake. Okay, a spelling mistake in that application in a page. So this is a low priority and low severity. Second example, low priority and high severity. So application crashed in some corner case. See, so a user use any application, like if they are using e-commerce website, everything is working correctly. Okay. But sometimes the application is crashed. Maybe there is some backend issue or whatever issue, but sometimes that application is crashed in some corner cases. Okay, means they have performed the all end-to-end order. A customer want to purchase a order from the e-commerce website, so they add the product e-card and they complete a payment also. During the logout, okay, during the logout, the application is not logged out properly, so it's a higher severity issue. So it's impacted like some corner cases. So application crashed in some corner cases. During the logout, might be we can receive like something went wrong or application is not working. So, so that we will consider an application crashes, but it's sometime, not every time. Okay, like if a same user use 4 to 5 times, there is no issues. But suddenly one time they try to do that processing in e-commerce website and they're using for a purchasing, but it's not working properly in some corner cases. So it would be low priority and high severities. And the third is high priority and low severities. Okay. So high priority and low severity. So slightly changes logo color or spelling mistake. Okay. So changes in logo color or spelling mistake in company name. Are you got it? My point. See, it's like there is Amazon website of e-commerce on Amazon website, right? So the changes in logo color, the developer changes in logo color or spelling mistake is also. So there is a branding issues, right? We are branding as a Amazon e-commerce, but if you did a mistake in Amazon, spelling like in company name mistakes. So that would be high priority and low severity. Low severity means why it's not impact any business workflow, but high priority use we need to fix immediately because that application or end user will be used. Maybe they think some bad intention of the company. Okay, so that need to be fixed immediately. So that's why it's a high priority and low severities. Fourth is high severity and low priority. So a web page not found when user clicks on a link. Okay, user not visit that page generally. So high severity and low priority means it's impacted of that application. So web page not found when user click on link. User not visit that page generally. So user not visit generally on that page, but web page not found when user clicks on the links. Okay. So see, some user logged in with a valid credential, okay, on that application. User clicked on the login button, so there after login button there is nothing is on that application. The page is not found, there is no functionality to use of the user. Okay, so that's issue is high priority and high severity and low priority. Okay, after that there is a defect resolution. Okay, so the defect resolution, there is some process like after receiving the defect report from the tester. Okay. So after receive the defect report from the tester team, development team conduct a review meeting to fix that defect that raised by the tester. Okay. And send to fix defect and send a resolution type to the testing team for a further communication. Means our tester test application and send a bug to dev. Dev will conduct some meeting to fix that defect, and dev team will share some communication or resolution for that particular defect in that application. So this is a defect resolution process. Okay. So this is a collaboration with the tester and developer team in a defect resolution process. So tester is always test that application. They execute that particular test cases on that application. They have found some issues and they found some defect. They have to raise to developer team, and the developer team will conduct the some meeting if they are not able to understand that particular bug, or they try to fix that bug and send the resolution to the tester team. Okay, and there is some resolution type also. So the resolution type is accept means dev accept that issues, that bug, reject, dev reject that bug, duplicate might be that same bug is raised by another tester also. So there's a duplicate. One of the enhancement, if dev is not able to understand that particular defect which is raised by the tester, so developer needs some enhancement on that. Okay, and need more clarification. And sixth one means sometime also the developers not understand that particular bug, so they need some more clarification on that bug. Okay, and not reproducible. Seven is fixed. Eight is as designed. Okay, so the accept is dev accept that bug raised by tester. Okay, reject, dev reject, that is not a bug. Duplicate, same bug raised by another tester. Enhancement, more enhancement of particular bug. Need more clarification, need more detail for that bug to understand to depth. Okay. Not reproducible means that bug which raised by tester that cannot reproducible to dev side. Okay. Fixed means the dev fixed that bug. As designed, dev team will not fix because it's as per design. That is not an issue. Okay. Means sometimes the tester is find some observation, okay, or they not check that particular requirement, so they will mention in the Jira ticket in comment section like this as per design you can close, so this no need to fix. Okay, so after that you just close that particular bug as a status as per the design. Okay, so this is a defect resolution process. After that is a bug life cycle. So the entire flow I will explain in this bug life cycle. You can understand properly. There is some use case scenario and the proper things I've created. So this is the architect of the bug life cycle. Okay, so tester find a bug in a particular application. So the tester is create a first time the bug. Okay, new bug. The status will be new. Developer, project manager analyze the bug. Okay, if the bug is valid, then yes, they will exit existing. And if bug is not valid, status reject. Okay, or if that same bug is status duplicate, maybe some other tester is raise the same bug, so they will might be change that particular status in a duplicate. Okay, and if yes, then duplicate means if their existing bug is found and that is a yes, it means that that duplicate bug is raised by the same tester. Okay, but the other testers also raise that same bug, so they will not fix, they will close as a duplicate. Okay, if that existing is not a existing bug, it's a new bug. So what they will do, they will deploy it to fixes. Okay, status is assigned means no. If status is no, then status assigned, or deployed status deferred means if there is conditions deployed means they will start to fix that bug. Okay, so if deferred means that bug is particular bug which does not impact the major workflow of that application. Okay, or they might be fixed in uh, upcoming release time or release phase. Okay, because if they will fix that deferred bug, so might they will take too much time for a fixing and they can impact our deadline of this project. Okay, if yes, so they will status referred. If not, so that particular bug will be assigned to the developer and developer start to fixing the bug. Okay, so existing there is no bug, so this is a new bug. Okay, so if yes means the status will be deferred, deployed. If no, so then that will be assigned to the developer. Developer start fixing this bug. Status will be open because the developer will start to fix that bug. Developer fix the particular bug. If the bug is fixed, tester validate. If bug is fixed, then tester will close at fix the status. Okay, and tester retest the defect. Okay, so if failed, it will again assign to developer and then the status will be open. Once tester retest the defect pass. So status means the bug will be closed and they will perform regression testing. Why is it? Because maybe that particular functionality does not impact in previous functionalities. So that's why they will perform regression testing. Okay. If it's failed regression testing, then they will assign to again to the developer team and that status will be open. So this is the entire workflow of the bug life cycle. Okay. And there is some bug matrix also. The test matrix mostly used in the organization to share that particular uh, bug reports and find that how much tests we have executed, what is the failed, which type of the blocker. So it's type of the like percentage we need to find out. Okay. So there is some points I need to explain here. So the test matrix, it's used to find out the details of bugs and status of report. Okay, so there is some test matrix like what is test, how much test cases executed. Suppose if you created 100 of test cases on that particular application, the project manager will ask how much test cases executed. If the test lead or test manager will ask how much test cases you executed, so that report you need to be shared at EOD to the all stakeholders. Okay. So how we will calculate how much test cases you executed. So there is a formula of number of test cases executed. Okay. Then total number of test cases written. After that, we will multiply into 100. So we will find out the all how much test cases executed. Okay. So this is a test matrix. It's mostly used in organization. Or if test case is not executed, means how much test cases is not executed. So that will also find out, okay, by the same rule. So this rule is there are some changes only. Number of test cases not executed, okay, and number of test cases written into 100, okay. So number of test cases not executed divided by total number of test cases and all over to 100. So we will find out how much test cases not executed. That is, what is percentage of test cases passed. Okay, so there is also number of test cases, then total test cases executed into 100. Okay, so this is the most important things you need to perform and share to the all stakeholder after the execution if you are working on the any project or if you are handling any project at tester end. So you need to follow these test metrics to share that report to the stakeholder, test lead manager or project manager. Okay, and fourth one is what is percentage and how much test cases failed. So number of test cases. So here number of test cases, what is percent of test cases passed? Okay, here number of test cases passes. So here number of test cases failed. So total test case executed into 100. So we will find out how much test cases failed. Okay, or if you need to find out how much cases blocked, then you need to perform number of test cases. In the same formula, I will need to some changes. How much test cases blocked? So number of test cases here I will change this block. Okay, and total test cases executed into 100. So this is a test metric which will be used to share the all as to find out that report. and to need to share the all stakeholders. So this is a very important part of the testing, okay, and the bug life cycle also. So that these matters we should know because we will use in the testing also to share the report. Okay, and there is a principle of software testing. Okay, so the seven industry principle of software testing. This is a main important part and mostly asked in a interview. So what is the seven principle of the software testing? So there is a seven principle of the software testing, like repeated, same test case. Okay. So I will explain the part. First, I will explain the type of seven principle. So number one is pesticide paradox. Okay. Pesticide paradox. Second is testing show the presence of defect. Third is exhaustive testing is no possible. Okay. Fourth one is early testing. And fifth one is defect clustering. Sixth is testing in context dependent. And seven of last the seven principle of software testing is absence of error policy. Okay. So these are seven principle in this. So I will explain the all step by step here. So first is I need to explain testing shows the presence of defect. Okay. So what will we do here? The software testing help to identify defect in system. Okay. So the software need to identify defect in software. In this testing, show the presence of defect in this process. Okay. The software testing helps to identify defect in system, but it cannot prove कि software is a completely bug free, but cannot prove the software is completely bug free. Why is it? Without test, we cannot say that like this entire application is completely bug free. Okay, so we need to perform the testing on that phase. So this is testing shows the presence of defect, and that second is exhaustive testing is no possible. Means testing with a possible input. See, testing performed with possible means valid and invalid scenarios. Okay, with precondition also, but sometime we test some test cases and assume that system will behave accordingly and correctly for untested input as well. Okay, see the testing performed with the possible valid and invalid scenario with the preconditions, but we tested only some test cases behalf of this test cases, we assume that the behave system will be behave correctly without test some untested scenario also, untested input as well. Okay. So see, so the exhaustive testing is no possible. Means we will test with all positive and negative validations with the preconditions, all things we need to be covered. But sometimes we will assume that we tested some test cases and we will assume that in this application, like the system will be work correctly without test cases. Okay, without tested some untested inputs as well. Okay, so this is a point of exhaustive testing. Third is early testing. So early testing is why is it important? So mostly in the company, the tester is all most of time involved in during the testing phase only. But we need to perform the testing at early means from the requirement phase. So we need to perform the testing from requirement phase. Okay. So that we need to cover here. So this is a part of early testing, because it should possible in SDLC in software development life cycle. Okay, so we can detect easily and we can detect in early stages if there is any bug or misses during the requirement gathering. So if we will perform the early testing, so we can find out some defect as well there. Okay, for this defect clustering. So the defect clustering in most project are small, we can say that in small project, some small module contains high and majorly defect issues. Okay, in defect clustering. So there we will use Pareto principle for defect clustering, and we will perform like 80% of defect function in 20% in module fail. Okay, means most of testing 80% defect we have found in less modules, some small module. Okay, so we need to be perform the defect clustering also. Okay, because what happened in most project like small number of module, we tested only small number of module, but we received their 80% of the defects there. So we will do some Pareto principle and we will execute that case in 80-20 rule. Okay, after that there is a 6 testing in context dependent. So testing in context dependent means the testing strategy defined as per the application, right? The testing strategy vary on the different type of application. We sometimes we tested web application. Okay, so for the web application we have different strategies. Sometimes mobile application. In mobile application we also have some different strategies to perform that testing. So testing in context dependent. Okay, it's always depend to the project which type of, according to the project, which type of the strategy we will use. Okay, so all require a different testing approach, means all require different testing approach. Okay, there is seventh, absence of early fallacy. So what does mean that if system is developed, okay, without any defect, means if system is developed by the developer without any defect, but that particular system does not meet with the business workflow. Okay, and it's filled in to the end user. Okay, so the system must be built by the developer so that the business workflow meet, and software must be both bug free and useful to the end user. Okay, so means if system is developed without defect but what failed to meet user requirements or business workflow. Okay, so the outcome is that software must be both bug free, and useful for end user. Means if you created any software without any bug, means there is no bug defect found by the tester, but that application is not made the business workflow and it's not useful to the end user, then it does not mean that application is work properly. It means the failure of this application. Okay, so it means the failure of this application. There is the last one is I forgot, like pesticide paradox. Okay, so this first one is pesticide paradox. So the pesticide paradox is repeated some test cases. Okay, eventually stop finding new defect. So some same test cases we are executing. So the test cases not finding any defects in bug. Okay, any defect in application, so that we need to update our test cases and modified as per the requirement. Okay, and improved our test cases so that we will we will update that test cases, and we will perform execution in new build. Okay, in new features. So the pesticide paradox is most important things. We not need to repeat it the same test case to execute and by the tester and check the system working properly or not. Okay, so the pesty paradox is very important in this. So there's a seven principle of the software testing series. Okay, so today we learned most of the part. So we have to learn defect bug issues. Okay, and defect report content, which content we need to use to report the bug to developer, and defect classification like severity and priority. Okay, so severity part and priorities, and there is an example of the priority and severity, and there is a defect resolution we have to learn here. Okay, and there is some test matrix also we learn here, and the all issues and seven principle of software testing. Okay, so please watch this video till the end, and don't forget to subscribe this channel for upcoming video. Thank you.